from Unlock Democracy. No, I'm not. I'm from Make Voice Matter. We actually share office space. We've got kind of a hot desking facility with Unlock Democracy. So I think that's one thing to say, that in terms of democracy and work on democracy.
Speak up, please.
Apologies. In terms of democracy and working to get democracy, there's a lot of collaboration going on, which I believe is very heartening. It's a very different situation from when we started back in 2015. So there's a lot of genuine collaboration. And I would also like to say there's lots of different definitions of democracy, and there's a lot of awareness of that in the democratic space. And there's conversations happening around that, and I welcome those conversations. We're here specifically talking about restoring trust in politics. I think the answer to that is real democracy. And I would say we don't live in a real democracy at the moment. I imagine this is something other people in the room might agree about. I know it sounds a little bit extreme for some, but I think when we've got a voting system which can deliver wrong winner governments, as it does, that's clearly not what the people are voting for, and so that's just simply not democracy in my opinion. But we are talking about representative democracy in that instance, and that's supposedly what we live in. We don't even live in a representative democracy. There are obviously many other types of democracy. There's direct democracy, there's deliberative democracy, there's a lovely blend of all of the things using the different democratic tools in useful ways in different instances. And that would be kind of ideally the long-term view for me where we're trying to get to. And that needs to be decided by the people. What do we want our democracy to be? How do we get there? And yes, it is about listening to what people want. Like we're not going to get to a point where people have trust in politics and politicians and feel that we're in a democracy that's fit for purpose until they feel that they are heard and that they're having a say. I probably should take a step back and just say what Make Votes Matter is and kind of a little bit about our background and what we're trying to do. So I'll do that as succinctly as I can. So we're a national campaign for proportional representation in the House of Commons. So that's specifically about the House of Commons because we believe that to be the keystone about enabling all of the other democratic change that needs to happen. So without starting off by getting the actually representative democracy, it's very hard to bring in the other forms of democracy that I think are relevant as well. We started in 2015, we're fully cross-party. We work with lots of other democracy organisations like those present and the parties that want PR. So obviously the Lib Dems have great policy about this, have done for a long time, the Greens, etc. So it's the case that all of the opposition parties now have official policy for PR. The Labour Party aren't quite there yet in terms of what they're saying and doing. The grassroots very clearly made it known that they would like the party policy to be PR, so it is conference policy. I'm sure Sam will be saying a lot more about this in his section, but they're not quite there yet, so there's plenty of work still to do on that front. Make Votes Matter is both a kind of grassroots up and alliance building organisation, so we convene the Make Votes Matter Alliance, which meets quarterly. That has all of the pro-PR parties and organisations that attend and participate and work together. And we believe that both of those things happening in tandem, in partnership, are necessary to bring about the change that we want to see. And so we've got local groups all over the country. Sally over there, who's very kindly filming, looks after local groups. We've got some fantastic local group people here who we've just had a chat with earlier, so big up to MVM Yorkshire, hello. They do fantastic work, and they're autonomous, and we try to support them as best we can. Do that better, I'm sure. There's all sorts of things happening all over the place. One big thing that's happening that as many people as possible we want collaborating on is our parliamentary lobby on the 24th of May. And so we would encourage everybody to get involved to the extent that they can, or that they believe that that's the most effective thing for them to do, to come and meet their MPs and make clear to them in person how much they think that proportional representation is really important and necessary to bring about all of the changes that we want to see, bringing about the better kind of social, environmental and economic outcomes that we want to see in this country, and the impact that would have more broadly in the world. So I'll leave it there because that's probably 5 minutes.
Yep.